Hey guys, today we're here with Melanie and me. We're chat with MJ. I want to be talking today about body image and just being comfortable with yourself. So we're gonna be talking about that today. So Melanie, I am. Where do we start? Let's see. How about we start with? I know you've struggled in the past with body image and stuff. Do you wanna basically give an outline of how that looked?
Yeah, I'd
And
love
how you got it
to.
up?
Yeah. So when I was 20 years old, I would say before that, I think there was just a lot of when you're growing into yourself and growing into a woman, there's just a lot as a high schooler that you're pushed up against. Um, and you kind of don't know who you are. You're figuring that out. You're figuring out how God's made you and crafted you, and the beautiful parts of who you are. And when I was in high school, obviously I was a good church girl, talked to a lot of people about a lot of different things, was a mentor to doing Awanas and all this stuff. But no one knew deep down inside, I was struggling. Um, I think at first I combated it with Bible verses. I was like, oh, God made me beautiful. Hey, knit me in my mother's womb. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. You can just go through all the Bible verses of all of that. And for a while that worked. You can combat those thoughts. You can combat the enemy. It was totally the enemy who's in my head. And I think that's important to be aware of. And then I went through a season where I worked out excessively. I felt like I was fat, I felt like I was ugly, and so I worked out excessively, and it kind of got to this point where it was way overkill. And I thought I had beaten it. I thought, okay, I'm not throwing up like everybody's telling you. I'm not forcing myself to eat stuff and then purge. It wasn't that bad, and I was like, so this isn't a problem. Then we got into your hair has to look a certain way, your makeup has to look a certain way, and everybody else looks like this, so I must need to look like this. And then kind of kept going on that track, thought I'd beaten it, and of course, the moment that Satan thinks you beat something, he comes back full force. So when I was 20, we had just moved here actually. And just everything in my life blew up. And body image issues add up to lying. And my mom would ask me what I ate for breakfast, and I'd be like, oh, a piece of toast. But I wouldn't tell her how big the piece of toast was, a size of a quarter. And it just, that sin leads to so much, your insecurity leads to so much more, and it doesn't just hurt you, it hurts a lot of people around you. My mom caught me, end of story, and she's like, what's going on? And I was you could see every bone in my body. I was sunken in, and she's like, something's up. And I was like, before that, I had prayed. I was like, God, please help bring someone in my life because I can hide this really well. I was serving in youth group ministry, high school ministry. I was involved, and I wish just someone could see past my mask that I was putting on. And my mom, I wasn't expecting her. I didn't know if I really wanted her, but I'm so grateful for her. And she just kind of was like, we're going to walk through this together. And it was awful at first, being forced to eat and watch me eat. And with a bunch of dietary stuff that I was going through at the same time, it was just really easy to cover it up. So I was grateful for her heart and her wisdom to see past my mask.
Yeah, that's really good. So, would you say what's the biggest issue? Why do most people seem to deal with this? What do you say would be one of the biggest problems? Would it be a social norm, what people expect out of you, or would it be just kind of what society expects out of you? How would you say this becomes a problem with most people? And so, if anybody else is going through that, they can kind of figure out what the source of it might be.
Yeah, I think it comes from small comments, and I wish it was some monumental thing. I think it's expectations from what people see on the social media, YouTube, TV, movie stars, celebrities, artists, whatever. and then you compare to other people. But I think like that for me, it was little things that were said, if you lost a few pounds, this and that. I was in dance, so a lot of that is just, even though they're great people, nothing against the people who helped me in dance career, but you just start to measure yourself against other people, and it's almost internal in your own head too. I don't look good enough. I need to lose weight, and it's your own perception of yourself. And I think like for me, I had to combat my own head for some of the stuff that Satan had taken control over, and I had given him control over it.
Yeah, like the Bible says, no man can hate himself, and honestly, it's not God that's making you hate yourself. It's a lot about the enemy. He's putting those thoughts in your mind and those insecurities sometimes. How would you say if someone is coming alongside someone like that? Like you said, our mom helped you out of that. How would you say someone could actually come aside a person that's dealing with maybe some insecurities about themselves, or just going through a time of puberty or something like that? If they're dealing with those things of insecurities, how would you say that would be a good way to encourage them?
Yeah, I think just being real. A lot of us go through this. Like for me, wearing makeup every single day of my life was a real thing until someone in Peru just like being in Peru helped me so much, and just having freedom just to be myself and to walk out of the house without no makeup on. So I think just seeing someone, seeing them for who they are, not what they look like and what they can become, is so much greater than their outward appearance. I think too, for me, it's just people, you have to be aware of the mask, and to really engage people on the core level of their hearts and giving them the space to be themselves. But I'd also like to ask you the question of like body image for yourself. Like, have you ever felt like, because it's not just women, and I don't want to just come across it as just women.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that's maybe a societal norm. We always see women and we hold them up. But then I think men also have that struggle, but maybe actually that's more of a struggle because it's denied of you. I feel like sometimes when you feel like you shouldn't be struggling with this and then you are struggling with something, it feels almost like you can't talk to people about it or recognize that. I went through a similar thing when I was younger, transferring from junior high to high school. I started break out and stuff like that, and it was really hard for me to actually go around people like that because I felt very insecure in my own skin. But I think it's important to remember that those insecurities, a lot of times in our own mind, I think we're the biggest critic of ourselves. And I think most people can recognize, hey, they're going through an issue, or hey, they're normal, they're a human being. I think that kind of brings the perspective, but it's always hard to get past that in your own mind. At least for me, it felt hard to get past that. I think what kind of got me through that was honestly recognizing that. I think, and most importantly, like people aren't out there to judge me. I think a lot of times, there are people that do judge you, but I think it's also important to remember that, people recognize that, hey, I went through certain problems, I went through certain things, and it's okay to have those problems and those issues, I think, sometimes. And it's important to talk about it, because you're probably not the only one out there. And I knew I wasn't the only one out there, and I think that's what got me through it personally. So yeah.
And I would just encourage you guys, like, if you're walking through something like that, reach out, or if you know someone who is dealing with it. Anorexia is not something that's, just talking to a friend recently, I was like, man, I still struggle sometimes. Like, it's a quick thought, it's not any like drastic action. But we're all in this together, right? We're all, as Christians, supposed to spur each other on. And as those things come up, it's find someone who you can be really transparent and honest with. Know that God doesn't see you for face value. He treasures your heart. And no matter what you look like, it doesn't matter to him. And he treasures you being completely yourself and not to look like anybody else. And I would just like pray that if you are one of those people struggling, that private message me. Like, I just love to talk to you. It's a process, and it's not. I'm sure some of you guys didn't even know about my eating disorder because it wasn't something that I was proud of, and there's a lot of shame that goes with it, and I don't want you guys to live in that shame.
Yeah, and I think especially even with me going through this whole thing, as you guys know, with the tumor, I hate to bring it up again, but I think a lot of it, I've been going through certain things, with my body, and it's been kind of nerve-wracking, like I have tremors and stuff like that, and it's very hard to, it might not be a physical per se thing, it might be something more like going on where you have tremors, you have shakes, or you just have these insecurities in your own body, you feel like you're a foreigner inside of it. It's important to remember too that God made you the way He wanted you to be. He made you perfect and holy. He gave you, whether you have a tumor, whether you have something going on in your body, God gave you even that, and it wasn't because you sinned. It wasn't because your family sinned like the guy in the Bible. It was because God wanted to see His glory. He wanted to use you to shine His glory, and it might be a heavy burden on you. It might be a great heavy burden on you, but it's important to remember that God gave you that burden to where you could show other people the love of Christ. And He also told you, said in the Bible, He want to give you more than you can handle. So honestly, for me, it's kind of an honor to be able to carry a burden like that because it shows how much He really thinks you can carry. He shows you He thinks you're strong, and it's very, very impressive and very mind-boggling to think about that. So don't see it as a bad thing. See it as almost an encouragement that God thinks you can carry that burden. So, and don't carry it alone.
Yes, yeah, I was gonna say that. Don't carry it alone because it's so much pain and so much shame that comes with that, and the enemy would just love to have that in you. You are amazing, whoever you are that's watching this, and God has appointed you, like Jared said, for this time and this place, for this season. Don't waste it. Don't waste it. I know I felt like I wasted many years of my growing up years because I was so concerned about it. But I'm so grateful because it gives me a way of communicating to you and whoever's struggling with it. Know that you're loved, that you're amazing, that God has a perfect plan for you. And we are so excited to share even more about our stories, about things we're passionate about with all of you, just because we feel like we want to. We want to engage in a conversation. We want to engage with each of you where you're at. Again, we'd love to hear from you. Hope you guys come back and watch future videos of what we do.
And if you guys have been through a situation similar to both of us, maybe leave a comment down below and just give me a detail or just a story. If you feel comfortable, don't do it if you don't feel comfortable yet. Pray about it. But if you feel comfortable doing that, please leave a story down below. That way other people going through the same issues or same problems right now can be very encouraged and uplifted.
And find community. We're all about community. So we love talking to you guys. We hope you join us for our next video. Bye.
Bye.